Okay, so I've had a few requests recently to do a little bit more of a permanent video here on how to do the get-up, since we've been doing a lot of them recently. I'm going to show you how to do this first, something that you can look at on your own. I'm going to do it without any weight, and then I'm going to add a little bit of a light weight so I can still talk to you easily as I'm doing this and show it to you. The get-up, typically done with a kettlebell. You're going to start laying on your back. And in this case, we're going to pretend I already have the kettlebell up. Critical, now my fist is going to represent where the kettlebell is, and it's being held out in this direction. It's become more apparent as I actually add the light weight so you can see it, but I want you to see it without any weight first. I'm going to keep the knee bent on the same side as the weight. I'm going to go ahead and bring my arm and leg down, and I'm going to sweep them out at approximately, roughly 45-degree angle. Don't worry, we're not getting a protractor out to check to see if it's exact. The first thing I'm going to do now from this position is I'm going to push through my bent leg and push myself onto my hip. I'm then going to punch the ceiling. What this does is it creates a nice line here where my shoulders and my hips are in the same plane. So my spine isn't twisted. Keeps nice posture so I have the ability to be strong. From here, I am going to sit up. But when I sit up, if I have a heavy weight over me, it's going to be pushing me right back down into the ground. So sitting up, sure, you can do that without weight, and that's no problem. But if you have 32 kilos, 70 pounds over you, unless you're brutally strong, that's going to be very, very difficult to accomplish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit up, but I'm going to sit up away from the weight. And I'm going to use this elbow that's on the ground to help pull me up. So when I'm in this position, I pull myself up at an angle. All right? So for those of you out there, have a few clients who do jujitsu, this sort of framing should look pretty familiar to you. This is some pretty good guard retention and guard work here in an open guard. So from this frame, we now want to sit up. I'm going to use this hand to assist me to get up into a nice tall position. Now the next transition, there are a lot of different ways to do it. I'm going to show you one particular way. We can experiment with different ways to transition from here later, but right now what I'm going to show you is the low sweep method. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to bring your heels together. You're just going to slide this along the ground. Notice that throughout this, I'm maintaining this leg pointed straight up. I'm not letting it collapse where I have nothing to push off of. I lose base with the ground. From here, my objective is to swing this leg, the left leg in this case, back and get it under me. Now, to be able to accomplish that, I need to be able to take weight off of it. So we want to push the hips up, but we want to push them back. So we're getting our weight over this hand behind me. So I'm pushing my hips up, but I'm bringing myself into a position where my weight is now in this arm. So this leg is now free to move. I'm not putting weight into it. A very common mistake is people push up like this. Now this leg is stuck. I've put all my weight into it. Now I can't move it. But if you push your hips up so that you're putting your weight here, now this leg, weightless. I can now move this back. Now if you see, in essence, I have a straight line through my arm, through my shoulders, all the way up to the weight, which would be above me. I'm creating these nice 90-degree angles, which are strong. Those are good frames. So for those of you, again, since there are people out there watching who do jujitsu, you may recognize this as a variation of the technical stand-up. So by sweeping in here, I pop my hips, this unweights it, so I can now move here. That is nothing but a technical stand-up in jujitsu. For those of you who do not do jujitsu who are watching this, please ignore that. All right, so now, again, without a weight, this would be very easy to just get up. But if I've got 32 kilos pushing me into the ground, that isn't going to happen. So I need to retreat away from the weight. I'm going to sit onto my heel. Now it unweights this hand so I can get it off the ground, move it to my thigh. I'm now going to come back up into a tall, kneeling position. I'm going to adjust my feet however is necessary to make it easy for me to get out of this position in a lunge, and then I'm going to stand up. To come back down, I've got a weight on one hand, and it's pitting this leg into the ground. So I want to be able to step back. I would naturally want to use the leg that doesn't have a weight over it. So to make it even easier, I'm going to shift my weight into the same side as the kettlebell so that I can easily step this leg back into a lunge position, and I'm just going to drop that knee to the ground. From here, I'm going to now rotate this heel in this direction. So we're creating these nice 90-degree angles again. From here, my hand goes to the thigh. Again, with a heavy weight, it isn't going to be possible for me to just drop out into this position. I need to get there carefully and deliberately. I'm going to sit onto my heel, hand is on the thigh. I'm going to walk this down in front of my knee. And now I'm going to just walk it out until I can get myself back into the position we were in before. Hips now are over the knees, shoulder over shoulder, the weight directly pressing all the way down through these frames into the ground. I am supported. From here, I can push through this foot and this hand, because the idea is I need to unweight my back leg so I can sit through. I'm now going to sit through and bring my hip to the ground. From here, getting down, I'm just going to walk my hand out. So it's really easy to drop to this elbow, then to the shoulder, then to the other shoulder, and we're done. I won't go over how you get the kettlebell into and out of position. You'll notice that I am wearing a watch on my left hand over here. When you're going to each side, don't wear a watch because the kettlebell will smash it, so make sure you're not wearing any watches. So I'm going to show you with a light weight the get up and how we move through those positions. Do a little less talking this time, a rarity for me. So I'm going to get that kettlebell into position. Shift of my hips. Punch the ceiling. Sitting up. Now I'm going to sit up towards the camera here and pull myself up onto my elbow. From here, using this hand, pushing myself up nice and tall. Don't do the slide back. I'm doing that for the purposes of the camera. Now that I'm in this tall position, I can sweep my heels together. I can push my hips such that my weight is back over my hands, unweighting this leg, allowing it to shoot through. Again, creating these 90-degree angles. Sitting onto my heel, unweighting my hand so I can bring it to my thigh, come up into a tall kneeling position, adjust my feet into a lunge, stand up. To come down, I just reverse it. Switch my weight into my right foot so I'm able to unweight the left, step back into that lunge, bring the knee to the ground. Shift my left heel so I create my nice 90-degree angle. Hand goes to the thigh, sit onto my heel, hand goes in front of the knee, I walk it out. I'm now back in that position that we wanted to be in. I can now unweight my leg, step through, crawl back, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, and we're going to come out of that. So hopefully, obviously there will be more coaching for those of you who come in. You get to see this at home, some of the stuff I coach when you're here, so you can review it, take a look at it, try to review it and practice it on your own even without a weight. The sooner you get this, and it just becomes second nature, the more we'll be able to start loading the movement or making the movement, doing it a little bit faster. But in the beginning, you really need to nail the positions and own them before we start loading them. And that's true of everything we do in here. You got to own the positions first, then you earn the right to start adding weight. All right, until next time.